A very good evening to all from Majha House. And on this auspicious occasion of 551st birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Majha House brings to you a special session. And Guru Nanak, who preached the oneness of God and traveled 9 udasis, and he always advocated on Naam Japo, Kirt Karo, or Van Chako. And today we have with us Sarbpreet Singh ji, and he requested to take the session forward. Sarbpreet Singh ji.
Thank you, Induji. It's absolutely a
Sat Shri Akal ji. Gurpurab bhi bahut mubarak sab nu.
Aap sab nu bhi bahut vadai hobe ji.
Thank you.
So it's a pleasure to be back at Majha House, albeit virtually. So we're going to start by sharing a shabad from Guru Nanak Sahib's Bani, which perhaps sheds light on an aspect of Guru Nanak Sahib's personality that isn't often talked about. So we'll start with that and we'll take it from there. I'm going to turn it over to Meher Kaur and Amandeep Singh, who will be offering the Shabad.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
That was really divine. And Meher Kaur and Amandeep Singh, thank you so much. It was a blessing to hear you sing, it was lovely.
Thank you so
So
much for having us.
you're welcome, you're welcome. And
Raje Singh, Mukaddam Kutte, Jai Jagayan Bethe Sutte, Chakar Nenda Payan Ghao, Rat Pit Kutte Ho Chat Jao, Jithe Jia Hosi Sar, Nakki Vaddi Layetvar. Kings are hungry lions, their servants rabid dogs, foes of soothing restful sleep, the mindless servile cogs, the lackeys of the evil king, waving talon and claw, they prey on common gentle folk, their tender flesh they gnaw. Is this Guru Nanak Sahib speaking? Yes, it is. Why is he using such harsh words? The kings are hungry lions. Their servants are rabid dogs. Is this out of character with the gentle guru that all of us love? Maybe. I wonder, what do young people make of Guru Nanak Sahib today? Of course, Guru Nanak Sahib is widely respected in the Indian subcontinent and perhaps all over the world as a man of peace and a gentle prophet. Sometimes it seems, however, that Guru Nanak Sahib is almost turned into a cliche, particularly by popular representations that we see of Guru Nanak Sahib in art. All the artwork that is often prominently on display at homes and sometimes even in gurdwaras that show Guru Nanak Sahib as a greybeard in a white or a saffron turban. His eyes are shut, heavy-lidded, perhaps in an effort to show spiritual, exalted spiritual state. It is absolutely true that Guru Nanak Sahib was a beacon of spirituality and carried his message of universal brotherhood and love around the world. Yet, there were aspects of his personality that are no less important that we often gloss over. Now, Sikhs in general, in India in particular, are known to be a brave and valiant people. And that image mostly comes from representations of Guru Gobind Singh Ji in popular art. So in sharp contrast to Guru Nanak Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh Ji is shown with a full black beard. He's shown with weapons, a sword, an arrow, a hawk, a royal egret on his turban, a kalgi, creating images of this bold warrior who's ready to take on the world. In a certain sense, these representations tend to dichotomize our gurus. And I would say that this is not just in popular art. Generations of academics have contributed to this as well by focusing on the spiritual nature of Guru Nanak Sahib's message and viewing him as an apostle of peace versus Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who they've always portrayed as a warlike hero. This dichotomizing is what often hides the aspect of Guru Nanak Sahib's personality that we're going to focus on today. Bhai Gurdas Ji was a 16th century intellectual and scholar. He was related to Guru Arjan Sahib and was his scribe. And popular tradition tells us that he's the one who actually wrote down the Guru Granth Sahib when it was being compiled. In one of his ballads, Bhai Gurdas Ji says Singh buke mirkavali panni jaye na tir taroa. Upon the mighty tiger's roar, restless deer flee evermore. Who is Bhai Gurdas referring to? Who is he calling a tiger or a lion, a roaring lion? None other than Guru Nanak Sahib. Is there a contradiction here? Here we have this prophet of peace being called a roaring lion by one of his earliest biographers. Why? What was Bhai Gurdas thinking? Did he get it wrong? The year was 1520. Guru Nanak Sahib was on his way home with Bhai Mardana. He had just visited Mecca and was returning to Punjab. He was passing through a town which falls in modern day Pakistan now. It's called Ahmedabad. It was called Sayyidpur at that time. In Sayyidpur lived Bhai Lalo, a humble carpenter who was one of Guru Nanak Sahib's beloved disciples. So Guru Nanak Sahib had stopped in Sayyidpur to meet with Bhai Lalo. What he saw in Sayyidpur shocked and anguished him. Sayyidpur had been attacked by the adventurer Babur, who had not yet established the Mughal dynasty. He was on his way to establishing his kingdom and his empire. His men had laid waste to the town of Sayyidpur. There was blood in the streets. There were corpses piled up everywhere. And Guru Nanak Sahib's anguish poured out in the shabad that you heard today. जैसी में आवे खस्म की बाणी तैसड़ा करी ज्ञान वे लालो पाप की जंज ले काबुलों थाया जोरी मंगे दान वे लालो सरम धर्म दोए छाप खलोए कूड़ फिरे प्रधान वे लालो काजियां बामणा की गल थक्की अगद पड़े शैतान वे लालो मुसलमानियां पढ़े कतेबा कष्ट में कहे खुदाए वे लालो जात सनाती होर हिंदवाणियां एवी लेखे लाए वे लालो खून के सोहले गाविए नानक रत का कुंगू पाए वे लालो. As my Lord bids me to speak, thus Lalo do my words emerge. From Kabul harks a sinful groom, leading this wedding throng of doom. The lustful groom his wedding band, in dowry they would take this land. Shame and righteousness have died, as evil struts in haughty pride. Brahmins and Qazis have fled. Satan, he reads the wedding vows. The women turn to the holy book. Allah, Allah, they cry, forsook. The pain of every daemon lass, highborn or spawn of lowly blood. Oh, Lalo, terrible is their fate. They can't survive this gruesome flood. Where are the bridal songs of joy? Where is the fragrant saffron spray? Nanak, he must sing songs of blood on this grisly, frightful wedding day. Guru Nanak Sahib, whose heart was touched by the savagery that he had seen and the suffering of the people of Sayyidpur. He particularly talks about the Muslim women, the Hindu women, the so-called highborn, the so-called lowborn, and he talks about their grief and their suffering. Khoon ke sohile gaviye nanak rat ka kungu paeve lalo. In a wedding, songs of joy are sung. Saffron is sprinkled. But Guru Nanak Sahib says, in this wedding, songs of blood are being sung, and there are sprays of blood as opposed to sprinkles of saffron. He doesn't pull any punches. He tells it like it happened. Satan reading the wedding vows is a reference to the mass rape of the women of Sayyidpur by Babur's soldiers. Guru Nanak Sahib saw tyranny and he saw fit to oppose it. He boldly excoriated Babur for his actions, and for his trouble, he was arrested. As he was being taken to Babur's camp by Babur's soldiers, this is the Shabad Guru Nanak Sahib spoke. खुरासान खसमाना किया हिंदुस्तान डराया आपे दोष न देई करता जमकर मुगल चढ़ाया एती मार पई कर लाने कै तैं की दर्द ना आया करता तू सबना का सोई जो सकता सकते को मारे ता मन रोस न होई सकता सी मारे पे वगे खसमे सा पुरसाई रतन विगाड़ विगोई कुत्ती मुया सार न काई आपे जोड़ विछोड़े आपे वेख तेरी वड्याई जे को नाव तराए वड्डा साध करे मन भाणे खसमे नदरी कीड़ा आवे जेते चुगे दाने मर मर जीवे ता किछ पाए नानक नाम वखाणे. Guru Nanak Sahib addresses God and rails against him for the savagery that was unleashed, and he continues to pour scorn on Babur. Khorasan he laid to waste, to India then he turned his gaze. How can you be blameless, my lord, herald of death, did you not raise? Slaughter, death, and cries of pain, how can you from pity refrain? Lord, you are of all there is. Surely this you too can see. If warriors mighty too do fight, reason for grief there none will be. But if the lion slays the lamb, answer for it his master must. Dogs defile this precious land, the dead forgotten in the dust. Your mysteries are beyond our ken. Let us praise your glories then. Deem themselves the mighty high, filled with pride the foolish preen. But in your eyes, Master Lord, naught but lowly worms they're seen. Forever blessed the humble meek, forever Nanak, his name seek. Powerful words. But much more than words. Guru Nanak Sahib was laying the foundation of one of the fundamental tenets of the faith that he was in the process of founding. These words, these harsh, uncompromising words that were addressed to Babur have been enshrined in the Guru Granth Sahib, and they are collectively known as Babur Bani. I had translated another Ashtapadi from Babur Bani, but I think we're already 30 minutes into the session, so I'll actually skip over it, and I'll not read the translation today. Suffice it to say, Guru Nanak Sahib was taken to Babur, and a dialogue ensued. Babur could see that this holy man had no fear of him because he called him a tyrant to his face. Kings and conquerors in those days were a superstitious lot. Babur felt the first stirrings of fear in his heart. Who is this man? He has seen what I'm capable of doing, yet he dares to address me like this? Maybe there's something unique about him. Maybe he is too powerful. Maybe I should speak to him differently. We now turn to a few selections from the Gurpratap Suraj Granth, written by the Sikh poet Kavi Santokh Singh. In these excerpts, Santokh Singh imagines the dialogue between Babur and Guru Nanak Sahib. सुन बाबर श्री मुखते बाणी श्रद्धा अधिक हृदय में ठाणी कलावान मन लेख बिसाला बंधन कर बोलियो ते काला. Babur hears the Guru's words in his heart, awe and esteem. Verily, this is a great sage. Such respect his words beseem. करामात मुझको दिखलावो, कितक शक्त है सर्व बतावो, तुम खुदाए के अधिक प्यारे, किदो खुदाए आप तन धारे. Show me, please, a miracle now. Your powers I would like to see. Loved by God you seem to be, or in human form you're he. Nanak looked Babar in the eye. सुनकर बोले कृपा सहत हैं, करामात को कहर कहत हैं. जांच ले जो हवै चित चाही, स्थिर कर मन डोलियो नाही. With kindness the Guru speaks, miracles I do disdain. Ask for what your heart desires, be still your heart, steadfast remain. Here it would be important to note that the Gurus always disdained miracles and what we call ridya siddhya. They considered them to be unworthy. Babar, respect in his heart, took out his pouch of cannabis or bhang and offered it to Guru Nanak Sahib. Why did he do that? Well, in those days, dervishes and hermits were known to indulge in bhang. Guru Nanak Sahib looked at the offered pouch, smiled, and said, so again, in the interest of time, the Shabad is "Ta darsan ki karo samaye, main dar mangat bhi kya paaye, bhaun tera bhang khaldi mera cheet, main divana bhaya atit." I'll just read the translation. Fear of the Lord, it is my drug. It's pouched the mind, there it will stay. My hands, they beg to him, behold, at his doorstep every day. To behold you, Lord, I long. To your doorstep I belong. Saffron, flowers, musk, and gold embellish every body they. The faithful ones are sandalwood. Fragrant those around them stay. Silk and ghee forever pure. Thus is pure God's every slave. The ones that Lord before you bow, their favor, Lord, does Nanak crave. It was very obvious to Babar that he was dealing with an exalted being. मैं जाने अब निश्चय करके तुम खुदाए बिचरत तिन धर के दीजे बर मोको अब ऐसे जग पातशाह हुए में जैसे कुर्सी अपार बकुर्सी ताई भोगे पातशाही सुख पाई चार पदार्थ उम कर माही देवो आप देर कछ नाही महापुरख हुए अधिक उदारा करे रंक ते अत सिरदारा नृप ते रंक बनावे तुरन इस प्रकार के तुम प्रभ पूरण. Again, in Santokh Singh's imagination, Babar addresses the Guru. I know you now, and I am sure, exalted and divine wellspring. From you then I ask this boon of every realm. Make me the king. Forever let my progeny rule. Give them peace and comfort great. Place all this prey in my hands. Tarry not, I cannot wait. For the grace of sages great can turn a beggar into a king. A king can be reduced to naught. Power such with you bring. कृपा दृष्ट अवलोक के बोलत भय सत भाए जग पातशाही भोग वो जब लग करो न्याय जब तुमरे कुल न्याय न होवे पातशाहत सगरी को सो खोवे देश विदेश जीत बो धरणी भुंचे राज करे बल करणी. Eyes filled with benevolence, the Guru was heard to say, if you wish to rule the world, righteous you must stay. Shrinks from justice if your clan upon its root will come a blight. Lands you'll rule both near and far. Conquer them you will with might. Of course, Babar was not let off the hook that easily. Guru Nanak Sahib told him to mend his ways. Guru Nanak Sahib told him to set all the captives that Babar had captured in Sayyidpur free, which he proceeded to do. A mighty conqueror such as Babar was humbled by Guru Nanak Sahib. that's the aspect of his personality that we want to focus on today. Let's talk about the dichotomizing. As opposed to the view of what I would term lazy Western scholars and some of our own scholars who tend to look at Guru Nanak Sahib and Guru Gobind Singh Ji very, very differently, in Sikh tradition, the unity of the thoughts of all the gurus is absolutely and unequivocally acknowledged. Again, in the interest of time, I will read a short translation from Ram Kali Ki War, written by Satta and Balwand, who were bards in the Guru's court, notably in Guru Angad Sahib's court. They are talking about the ascension of Guru Angad Sahib after Guru Nanak Sahib had elevated him. On Lehna's head a canopy, his heart brimming with godly praise, wielding the mighty sword of truth, the master did his servant raise. Behold, behold this wondrous sight, it never has been seen before. The servant sits upon the throne, the master kneels upon the floor. And even as the master lived, the mark of kings the servant wore. And here, the important part, thus Nanak did to all proclaim, to Lehna he would pass the flame. Two bodies, yes, they seem to be, their light and mien, it is the same. Why do we not extend this to Guru Gobind Singh Ji? Or going in the other direction, why do we not see the unity between Guru Gobind Singh Ji's thoughts and actions and Guru Nanak Sahib as he roared like a lion? Senapati was one of the most acclaimed poets in Guru Gobind Singh Ji's court. He was one of the so-called Darbari Ratan, as our scholar Pyara Singh Padamji calls them. Senapati wrote what was perhaps the first biography of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, called Sri Gur Sobha. So here's a translation of a few lines from the Sri Gur Sobha of Senapati. You are Guru Nanak and Guru Angad too. You are Guru Amar Das, Ram Das are you. You are Guru Arjan and Har Gobind too. You are Guru Har Rai, Har Krishan are you. In the form of Master Ninth, in this age so bleak, you were Tegh Bahadur, comfort of the weak. In the form of Master 10th, Guru Gobind Singh, you, liberator of the world, Lord, you are, it's true. So one of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's beloved poets, Chandrasen or Senapati, sees this unity of thought clearly and documents it. The principle that Guru Nanak Sahib articulated when he confronted Babur was to have a profound effect on his followers and the faith that he created and we either inherited or embraced. It was this very principle that the fifth Guru, Guru Arjan Sahib, upheld when he resisted the tyranny of the Emperor Jahangir, who was threatened by the rise of an egalitarian faith in his own backyard. This was the principle that inspired our sixth Guru, Guru Har Gobind Sahib, to put on the twin swords of Miri and Piri, raise an army, and fight several battles against Shah Jahan. This was the principle that inspired Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib to go to Delhi and boldly confront Aurangzeb when the Tilak and the Janeu of the Kashmiri Pandits was in jeopardy. Let's make no mistake. It was this very roar of Guru Nanak Sahib that Bhai Gurdas Ji talks about that informed the creation of the Khalsa by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It was this very roar that manifested itself in the Kirpan that those of us who are initiated carry so proudly today. Guru Nanak Sahib's roar reverberated through the Punjab in the 18th century. Remember the 18th century? It was a time of great turmoil for the Sikh Panth. The Mughal Empire was collapsing. Punjab was terrorized by subedars such as Zakaria Khan and Mir Mannu and the likes of Masa Rangad. Ahmed Shah Abdali invaded again and again and again. Where did the Sikhs find the courage to stand up to all of them? Well, Guru Nanak Sahib's roar was reverberating in their hearts. It forged their character and it brought them tremendous glory. So as we celebrate the 551st anniversary of Guru Nanak Sahib, let's pause and listen. For that roar today has not been stilled. It's as loud as it was 500 years ago, and it informs a basic tenet of our faith that defines who we are. It emboldens us to reject tyranny and oppression in any form, no matter who the perpetrator is. To me, this aspect of Guru Nanak Sahib's personality is as significant and as fundamental to our faith as is his love for all humanity, his compassion, and of course, all the other spiritual gifts that he had given us. I'm going to stop here and turn it back to Induji in case anyone in the audience would like to respond or have observations or wants to initiate a discussion. Thank you.
You'll have to unmute, Indu.
Yeah, I've done it. Yes, huh? I think we are in that, that aura of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's, the very beautifully translated, very beautifully, resonated with our minds. And I think what a well spent day today. And I think we have to thank Sarbpreet Singh Ji and Majha House for this beautiful evening. And even would somebody want to ask some questions or something? Yeah,
I think Dr. Guruptesh was asking about the translations. Maybe he would like to ask that.
Yeah, okay.
Where he says something about asking you whether the translations have been done by you and whether he could,
Sure.
yes.
Yes, indeed. The translations are all my own.
That's great.
And also, are they available in print? This is what he's asking. Guruptesh, would you like to ask anything else? Would you like to take this discussion forward? I don't know if he's there.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I appreciate from the bottom of my heart such a brilliant talk that SS has given us. And I am absolutely delighted to hear the way he recited his translations. And they were in rhyme. I think they are very difficult to do. And I appreciate this. I just wanted to know if he has got them printed so that we can have it, because there are a number of translations of Guru Granth Sahib available, but not, I think, many in rhyme. That would be an addition to our own repertoire of Guru Nanak's, translation, or Guru Granth Sahib's translation.
So first of all, thank you for your very kind words. I really do appreciate it. The translations are not available as of this moment, but they will be soon. My publisher might get upset at me for leaking this, but my next work, which is being published hopefully around the middle of next year, is a retelling of the lives of the 10 Guru Sahiban. And all of these translations heard today will appear in that book. Now, that said, there is another way for you to access these translations now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link in the chat. Hopefully I can figure out how to send something to everyone on the chat, or then perhaps this can go out on the Majha House email list subsequently. So a couple of years ago, I started a podcast known as The Story of the Sikhs. This podcast is widely available. It's free and available for everyone to download and listen to on the Apple platform as well as on the Android platform. So a lot of these translations and many, many more from the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, from the Dasam Granth, from, of course, the Gurpratap Suraj Granth, Gurbilas Patshahi Chemi, Gurbilas Patshahi Dasmi, and a whole lot of other medieval literature. All of these are available and they are recited in the podcast. So there are 20 episodes available right now that cover the period from Guru Nanak Sahib to the passing of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And even as we speak, I am writing the 21st episode. I will be working on season 3 soon. So I will share a link to the podcast in the chat, and you can access these translations and many more immediately, and they will be available in print form, if all goes well, by June or July of next year.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think so very nice of you. And I think I must appreciate that you are doing some very unique work. It was very insightful to build a chain of thought between Guru Nanak and the 10th Guru. I wish there were more of studies where this continuity of thought, Guru Nanak being, militant against certain ways of the Mughal, and if that kind of continuity can be maintained, and if there is someone who can do more research and find out this chain of ideas, that will be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if I were to just mention, one of the works that I would recommend to anyone who is interested in sort of looking at the unity of thought between the Guru Sahibaan, and which really rejects this dichotomizing of Guru Nanak Sahib and Guru Gobind Singh Ji, I would point you to a thesis written by Dr. Ami P. Shah. The name escapes me right now. It's widely referenced in my work. I really enjoyed reading her thesis. So that would be wonderful reading. And again, I'll make sure that I send the details to Preeti ji so that it can be disseminated.
Thank you.
I was also, in fact, wondering whether you wanted to, talk about the farmer, the farming aspect, since it's something which is on the top of our minds right now here, of Guruji as the farmer. And then, I mean, not to link it or anything, but also because this is so topmost in our heads right now. Therefore, I mean, would you like to comment on that a little bit?
Well, very, very briefly, after his udasis, Guru Nanak Sahib, as we all know, settled in the town of Kartarpur and lived, for several years there. He gave up his wanderings and established a community there. And it was a time of institution building for the new faith that he had created. And all of us know that our gurus were, exemplars when it came to walking the talk. So when the Guru talked about Kirt Karni, it was not just for his followers, it was for himself as well. And we know that Guru Nanak Sahib toiled in the fields, with his own 2 hands. So yes, he was a farmer, and that was absolutely his kirt. And, I know we have many scholars on the call today. And, if anybody else wants to add to this, please absolutely feel free.
Sarbpreet, would you like to comment? Professor Sarbpreet Pahel, would you like to comment on this at all? Maybe, I don't know whether he's here right now. Okay. Indu, back to you then.
So as an aside, I just posted a link to the Story of the Sikhs podcast, and this will take you to the hosting site, and you can get either Apple, iOS, or Android versions if you follow that link.
Thank you so much, Sarbpreet Singh ji. It was a very insightful session. And I think we have covered from Guru Nanak till Guru Gobind Singh ji. We've covered all the gurus today. And I think the farmers' agitation today that's happening, I wouldn't like to discuss politics, but where would you think it would end? Do you have any inkling where it will end? Because it's already been 5 days since the farmers are agitating, and nothing has come out of it. And they're trying to, test our mettle. And sometimes I feel that all modes of redressing a wrong having failed, raising of sword is pious and just. But then we don't want to raise the sword. We just want amicably, to resolve the issue. Can you throw some light on this?
Well, I don't live in India. I've, of course, been following news of the agitation to some extent, and I'm, definitely aware of it. I think this question is much more addressed by someone who is more immersed in what's happening right now, but I'll certainly venture forth an opinion. When we talk about Guru Nanak's roar, this is not something theoretical. This is something that we have to put in practice every day in our lives. And some of us might wonder, there's this agitation going on, powerful forces are arrayed against the farmers, the government is formidable, they have a huge mandate, they can pretty much do what they want. What could we possibly do? Well, I would say that it's incumbent on each one of us to look around and do whatever we can. Maybe we can talk to 5 people and influence them. Maybe we can go and attend a protest. Some of us are writers and academics. Maybe we can write an article about it. Maybe we can write a paper about it. So what I'm trying to say is that it's incumbent on all of us to not be passive at this time. Sure, none of us is able to change the laws or do anything about the legislation that the farmers are protesting, but we must not stand idly by. Remember, when Guru Nanak Sahib was pouring out his anguish about the pain of Sayyidpur, he wasn't talking about the pain of Sikhs. He was specifically talking about the pain of the Hindu women and the Muslim women. So the lesson for us is that embracing somebody else's pain is fundamental to our ethos. And really, the farmers aren't even somebody else. I mean, being Punjabis, most of us have strong personal ties to farmers. So it absolutely behooves us to be proactive. It absolutely behooves us to, speak out, whatever we can do at our individual level.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And let's hope this issue is resolved as soon as possible, because, the older women, the children, they're all out on the roads. And it's not only the Punjab farmers, it is, throughout India, all farmers are getting into this, because they all see something, that the Punjabis had started. This movement of agitation, the Punjabis had started, and it has taken the entire India into its fold. So let's pray. As Guru Nanak Dev Ji de ardas karne a कि साडे Sikh वीरां दी रक्षा करनी, साडे किसान वीरां दी रक्षा करनी, and कुछ ना कुछ जल्दी resolve हो जाए, so that they go back to their homes. And इन्ना पावन दिन है आज, so साडी अरदास जरूर कबूल होएगी. And thank you so much, and Majha House, for bringing us this beautiful evening. और ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਤਨ ਭਾਗ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, that you have unfolded so much that we didn't know. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ translations were so beautifully done, and it sunk into your minds and your hearts. Thank you so much, and ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Thank you so much for those words. And ਧੰਨ ਭਾਗ ਮੇਰੇ ਨੇ ਜੀ, ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਹੀ ਹੈ Is samay, when all of us are shut up in our homes because of the pandemic, Sangat is always precious. So thank you all for the opportunity. Preeti ji, thank you so much to Majha House for organizing this.
Thank you so much for being here, and also to Meher and to
Meher
your
and,
son. Thanks very, very much, because that was truly, illuminating. And I mean, your talk was illuminating, because also one heard so many different things and aspects, which I think are very little known. I mean, at least I had very little idea of all of this, and very, very beautiful. Thank you very much for a lovely evening. Thank you.